These are the top 5 ways consistency will make you more successful. And welcome back to the FMS Mastermind podcast. I'm Nathan Frazier, internet marketer with face tattoos. And today I thought it would be fun to talk about consistency and how being consistent can make you more successful in life and in business. But first, a guilty admission. I am not the world's most best example of consistency. I have lots of areas in my life where I am not consistent. I need to work on being more consistent in my consistency. But in the areas in my life where I am consistent, those are also the areas of my life where I see the most success. So I wanted to cover that today and talk about the top 5 ways being more consistent can help you be more successful, like I said, in your life or your business. And the number one way is that it helps you avoid BSO, or bright, shiny object syndrome. This is something that I myself have struggled with. Almost every entrepreneur, almost every business owner that I've ever worked with also suffers from this. It's the uncanny ability to get distracted and go chase after different opportunities. We have this FOMO, fear of missing out. We see opportunities everywhere. Once your mind is aligned to see opportunities, it can kind of become a bad thing if you don't learn how to keep it in check. Yes, seeing problems is probably a worse problem to have, but seeing opportunities everywhere can also be a bit of a problem, and especially if you chase after all of those opportunities. So most entrepreneurs, most business owners that I know, we're presented with a ton of opportunities, and we have to learn how to say no to everything that doesn't actually serve what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And the example that I like to think of, because I see this happen all the time, I see entrepreneurs, they get 80% done with a project and then they jump ship to something that's more exciting to them, something new, something that they think will be easier to strike success with, or presents an opportunity that's too big or too good to pass up. And I liken it to someone giving you a 2x4 and a hammer and a nail. And they say, hey, you've got 8 swings and you need to swing and hammer the nail through this 2x4. And so you put the nail on the 2x4 and you swing once, you swing twice, and the nail doesn't go through. It goes about halfway through with 2 swings. And you're like, okay, well, this part of the 2x4 must be too hard. So you pull the nail up and you move it to another spot of the 2x4 that looks like it might be softer. And you swing once and you swing twice and you swing a third time, and you only make it 3/4 of the way through. And you're like, well, this part isn't very easy either. And so you pry the nail out and you move it to another part and you say, okay, this is where it's going to go through. This is my lucky spot where I'm going to swing the hammer and the nail is just going to, with ease, sail right through this 2x4. So you swing once, you swing twice, you swing a third time, it only goes 3/4 of the way through, and your 8 swings are up. You used all 8 swings of the hammer, and you never made the nail go through because you weren't consistent. You kept moving where you were hammering. You kept moving the nail around. Whereas if you would have just held the nail in one spot and just hammered once, hammered twice, hammered 3 times, hammered a 4th time, you would have had the nail go through, you would have been successful, and then you could have picked the nail out and you could have put it anywhere else on the board, and you could have swung 4 more times and you would have had success twice. But because you kept pulling the nail out and realigning it somewhere else on the board before you made it through, because you weren't consistent with your swings, you never made it through. You never met success. And I see so many entrepreneurial or wantrepreneurs types that suffer from this problem. Like I said, I myself have suffered from it as well. Creative people, we like to start things, we like to create things, but we tend to get bored with things, or we tend to lose interest or lose steam as we near the end. And if you can master consistency in this area, if you can master consistently nailing or hammering the nail in the 2x4 in the same spot over and over and over again, it's guaranteed that you will have more success in life. So that's number 1, consistently hammering the nail in the same spot, consistently going to work on the same project, consistently following through with things until you see success. The number 2 reason that consistency will make you more successful is because consistency helps build habits and it makes things easier. The more you do something, the more repetitive something becomes for you, the less you have to think about it, the less difficult it is, the more it just becomes part of your groove. I like to think of a drip of water constantly, consistently dripping in the same place. If it's cement, if it's onto a rock, whatever it's onto, eventually after time, drip by drip by drip, that water will carve a path in whatever it is that it's dripping on and flow to wherever it needs to go. So it won't just sit there and accumulate, it slowly carves a path, carves a flow through whatever is in its way and makes it to where it's easier for the water to get to where it needs to go. At first, the water just hits and it kind of dissipates and spreads all out all different directions. But after a while, after consistent drips, after the water builds a habit of where it's going, each successful drop after that has an easier path to get to where it needs to go. So consistency builds habits and makes things easier the longer you do them. The number 3 reason that consistency leads to success is that consistency also builds habits in your audience. And I like to think of like YouTubers like Tim Pool. Tim Pool does a podcast or I think multiple podcasts or YouTube videos every single day. And if you're a Tim Pool fan, you know that at 8 o'clock when you wake up in the morning, Tim Pool has a video for you. And 11 o'clock later on the afternoon, Tim Pool has another video for you. And 1 o'clock in the afternoon, another video. And then 6 o'clock at night, he's got the podcast. And if you're a diehard Tim Pool fan, you set your schedule. You become trained to wake up in the morning, watch Tim Pool. Then on lunch break, you go and check out the next Tim Pool video. He's done a very good job of being consistent and then inspiring consistency in his audience. And he's only one of many. All of the most popular YouTube channels, all of the most popular on any social media, the more consistently the people post and the more exactness in the consistency. So not just every day I'm here, but every day I'm here at 11 o'clock a.m. sharp. Or not just every week I show up, but every week on Wednesday at 7 p.m. If you are consistent, people will build their habits around your consistency, making them more reliant. You become part of their pattern, part of their program, and then they become programmed to consistently consume your content and consistently push you up, build you up. But if you're not consistent, say that you once every week you put out an episode on Wednesday at 7, but one week you forget an episode and you say, you know what, I'll just wait until next week. Well, the person who sets their calendar based off of your podcast every Wednesday, they watch your YouTube channel, or every Wednesday they listen to your podcast, they get up that morning, it's not there for them, they're going to find something else. They're going to find somebody else to listen to. And now you've broken their habit. Your lack of consistency has broken their habit, has broken the likelihood that they're going to show up and listen to you again next Wednesday once you finally get your act together. So consistency not only builds habits in yourself and makes things easier for you over time, but it builds habits in your audience and makes it easier for them to consistently show up for you. And if you break that consistency, it breaks that habit in your audience. All right, the number 4 reason consistency makes you more successful is that consistency makes you easier to recommend. And what I mean by that is take McDonald's, for an example. Now, I don't eat at McDonald's. I haven't eaten at McDonald's in like 10 years now, but a lot of people do eat at McDonald's. A lot of people enjoy McDonald's every single day, and it's because McDonald's offers a consistent experience. Every time you go to McDonald's, you know you're going to get the same thing that you're used to. And it doesn't matter if the McDonald's you're going to is in Los Angeles, New York, or somewhere down in Alabama. McDonald's is McDonald's is McDonald's. And if I roll into town and it's somewhere new and I have no idea what to eat, and I see a McDonald's and I see 3 other burger joints that I've never heard of, I know what to expect from McDonald's, so I'm more likely to go to McDonald's. If somebody asks me out of these 4 restaurants, which one probably has the best hamburger, I'm going to say McDonald's because I know what McDonald's is. I know what to expect from them because they deliver a consistent experience. People fear the unknown and people enjoy a consistent experience. people feel more comfortable when they know what to expect. And the same goes for recommendations. If I'm going to recommend a graphic designer or an SEO expert or anybody of any kind of professional quality, and when making a referral or making a recommendation, people feel more comfortable making a recommendation if they know that you deliver a consistent experience. If I know that every time you hand in artwork to one of your clients, they're satisfied, you do a good job, you listen to them, you deliver what they're looking for, and you deliver it on time, you deliver a consistent, good experience, I'm going to recommend you when somebody else comes to me and says, hey, do you know anybody who's a good graphic designer? But if your art is sometimes good and sometimes if your ability to listen and deliver is sometimes good and sometimes if your ability to make a deadline is sometimes good and sometimes I'm not going to recommend you because you're not consistent, and I don't feel comfortable because I don't know what what they can expect if I recommend you. So I'm not going to recommend you. So if you want more recommendations, you need to be consistent. And the number 5 reason, because so much business nowadays is based off of pleasing the algorithm gods, consistent content makes you more favorable to said algorithm gods. If you put out one piece of content on one topic and another piece of content on another topic and a third piece of content to a completely different audience, then every time you put out a new piece of content, you're confusing the algorithm. The algorithm says, hey, these people are fans of so-and-so. The algorithm takes your last piece of content and finds the audience that really enjoys that content. And then you put out another piece of content that has nothing to do with their interests or their concerns or what they're coming to that platform for. And so the algorithm serves them, that same audience that the last piece of content really hit it out the park with, serves them your next piece of content, and they're like, this isn't for me. And what you did right there is you confused the algorithm. You told the algorithm, okay, maybe this isn't his audience, or maybe this isn't her audience, or maybe this isn't they, them, their audience. And so then it's going to find a new audience. It's going to have to work twice as hard to find a new audience for you. And if it succeeds in finding that new audience for you, and then you put out a third piece of content and it's completely out in left field compared to the other 2 pieces of content that you put out, and the algorithm first shows it to your first audience and they're like, nope, this isn't for me, and then shows it to the second audience that it found liked your stuff, and they also say, nope, this isn't for me, the algorithm's like, okay, I give up, I'm not showing your content to anybody. So by not creating consistent content, you confuse the algorithm and you make it to where the algorithm doesn't want to recommend you to anyone. And this is important, especially when you're starting out in any kind of niche. Niche? I'm not sure how I pronounce that. Probably niche. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that when you're first starting out, when you're first building an audience, beating them over the head with the same thing over and over is the best way to game the algorithm. They show up on YouTube, they want to watch a video about whatever topic, you keep giving them more videos about that exact same topic, they keep watching, and the algorithm keeps feeding it to them and keeps feeding it to more people like them. The most successful way to just completely game the algorithm is to not only hit the same topics over and over again, but to hit the same keywords over and over and over again. Every single video, every single blog post, using and hitting and targeting those exact same keywords, not just the same topics. That's how you massively rig the algorithm in your favor. And some of you are listening to this and you're saying, well, Nathan, you don't follow that same rule. Sometimes you do content about marketing. Sometimes you're talking about copywriting. Sometimes you're talking about mindset. Sometimes you're talking about politics. And sometimes you're talking about magic. And the reason I don't follow my own advice on this particular aspect of consistency is because I'm not really that desperate for success. I'm already pretty successful in my own business. I've already built a pretty massive audience on Facebook and LinkedIn and through my email list. My podcasts do well, and I'm just basically here to have fun on YouTube. But if my business was struggling, you can bet every single video that I put out would be about copywriting and marketing. Now, to be fair, I do put out videos consistently every week on Friday morning. So I show up the same day, the same time every week. I am consistent in that aspect. And when I do stray from the topic that I want to be known for, when I do stray away from copywriting and marketing, it's deliberate. It's for qualifying purposes. It's to weed out the type of people I don't want to work with. I know the specific type of people that I want to work with, and I also know that not everybody who needs copywriting and marketing is going to be the right fit type of person for me. So I want to make sure I don't obligate myself to people by taking their money, by not filtering out them before they get to that point. So every once in a while, actually pretty frequently, I deliberately stray from the beaten path to make sure that I'm creating content that weeds out the type of people I don't want to work with. But those first 4 reasons that consistency makes you more successful, those are still commandments for the way I live my life and run my business. And the last one is a rule that I know, but I strategically break from time to time. And you have to know the rules, and you have to be able to succeed by the rules before you can know how to break them and still get away with it. So there you have it. Those are the top 5 reasons consistency will make you more successful. Reason number 1, consistency will help you avoid being distracted by FOMO or bright, shiny object syndrome. Reason number 2, consistency builds habits, making things easier and easier to accomplish over time. Reason number 3, your consistency helps build habits in your audience, making it easier for them to consistently support you. Reason number 4, consistency makes you easier and safer to recommend. And reason number 5, in today's era of digital marketing, consistency helps you game the algorithms. It makes your content more favorable to the algorithm gods. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you subscribe and share it with someone you know will benefit from it. If you want to join my mastermind, the FMS Mastermind, head on over to forbiddenmarketingsecrets.com and you can find out more information there. I'm Nathan Frazier, the advertising alchemist, and I'm out of here. Deuces. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you're subscribed so you always catch the content we create for you in the future.